This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, July 3rd, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
All eyes on House Speaker Mike Johnson as he aims to convince holdouts in his party to finalize President Trump's big, beautiful bill. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Sean Diddy Combs sat in court stoic as the judge denied the hip-hop mogul bail. Julie Walker, New York.
Mixed reaction to a guilty plea by Bryan Kohberger.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Ukraine is looking to ramp up joint weapons production with allies as the U.S. halts some arms shipments. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a mixed day yesterday, and the markets close early today ahead of tomorrow's July 4th holiday. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The University of Pennsylvania says it will update records set by transgender swimmer Leah Thomas. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
All ahead on America in the Morning. With just 1 day left before President Trump's July 4th imposed deadline to get the big, beautiful bill to his desk, House Speaker Mike Johnson is working to convince last-minute holdouts to put aside their concerns. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
We can't make everyone 100% happy. It's impossible. This is a deliberative body. It's a legislative process.
Speaker Johnson is joining other GOP leaders to try and convince Republican holdouts, many of them members of the Freedom Caucus, to vote for the version passed by the Senate earlier this week.
All of us have to give up on our personal preferences. I never going to ask anybody to compromise core principles, but preferences must be yielded for the greater good.
President Trump also spending the day doing some arm twisting, meeting at the White House with some of those potential Republican no votes, urging any holdouts on social media to do the right thing, saying, quote, "We can have all of this right now, but only if the House GOP unites and ignores its occasional grandstanders." In a sign of potential problems for Speaker Johnson and the president, two Freedom Caucus members, Chip Roy of Texas and Ralph Norman of South Carolina, voted with Democrats against allowing the bill to come out of the Rules Committee. Even as he touts the spending plan, Republican Ryan Zinke admits there are issues.
If you're a fiscal hawk on one side, you're probably not satisfied. If you're moderate on the other side, you're not satisfied. Right. So overall, I think this is the best we can do at the moment.
Democrats like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries are urging Republican holdouts to stand their ground.
And all we need are 4 Republicans, just 4, to show John McCain-level courage. Just 4. There are 220 of them. All we need are 4.
Democratic Congresswoman Catherine Clark says the bill lines the pockets of the wealthy at the expense of the poor.
So at a time when most households are struggling to afford the basics, Republicans have a clear message for American families. You don't matter.
Republican leaders are urging House members to vote on the Senate version and are against making changes that would require senators to come back to Washington and cast another vote. There's no indication yet when the House will vote. John Stolnis, Washington.
Jail cell for now. Jurors in Sean Diddy Combs' trial in New York found him guilty of prostitution-related charges, but acquitted him on sex trafficking and racketeering. Correspondent Julie Walker reports that the judge denied the disgraced music mogul bail as he awaits sentencing.
Sean Diddy Combs sat in court stoic, as did his family, as the judge denied the hip-hop mogul bail. He will go back to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn for now. Combs was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, but acquitted of the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking.
Under the federal sentencing guidelines, the likely sentence will be measured in months, not years. The starting point that the judge will work from under the sentencing guidelines will likely be 15 to 21 months. That can go up or down based upon certain considerations.
The judge says the law makes detention mandatory, absent circumstances that are not applicable here. The judge also noted Combs' violent history, including that video of him beating up former girlfriend Cassie in an LA hotel hallway that was played in court several times. Cassie, through her lawyer, had asked the judge not to let Combs out on bail while he awaits sentencing.
We're pleased that he's finally been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, something that he's never faced in his life. He still faces substantial jail time. Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we understand beyond a reasonable doubt is a high standard, and we're just pleased that he still faces substantial jail time.
The prostitution charge the 55-year-old was found guilty of, the Mann Act, is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Julie Walker, New York.
U.S. says no more weapons for Ukraine. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning, and the pre-holiday forecast finds some areas of the nation getting downpours today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Today will be wet once again for some in the southeast, thanks to a round of tropical moisture related to a wave of low pressure along a mostly stalled front in the region. AccuWeather hurricane experts are watching this area of low pressure for some potential tropical development into the weekend, but whether or not this feature organizes into anything tropical, the story will be a boost to the intensity of downpours at times through the weekend from Florida, especially the Florida Peninsula, into southeastern Georgia and coastal South Carolina. Impacts should include rough surf and flash flooding, but those impacts may reach even farther inland depending on just how close to the coast that this storm can push over the coming days. Speaking of stormy conditions, the Northeast faces the highest risk for severe weather in the nation as a cold front pushes south and east into some warmer air that will be in place. This battle of the air masses should overcome what will be a less humid day for many near the coast to produce a risk for storms with hail and especially strong winds this afternoon and into the evening from New England to parts of New York and Pennsylvania, especially away from those zones near Lakes Erie and Ontario where the front will pass earlier in the day. The South and the Intermountain West also face the risk for some heavier rainfall today, thanks to moisture funneling in from what was once Major Hurricane Flossie off the Mexican coast, leading to tropical downpours that could be especially heavy from western Texas into eastern Arizona. Storms may also be heavy and gusty from Minneapolis to Chicago, with wind and hail possible in the northern plains, mainly over North Dakota. In Los Angeles, clouds break for sun today with a high right around 80. For Orlando, it's looking cloudy and humid instead, with some heavy thunderstorms throughout the day and the high reaching 84. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. An expected guilty plea by the man who killed 4 Idaho college students was heard, but what was not said was why Bryan Kohberger committed the crimes. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Bryan Kohberger's guilty plea came as a surprise to even the judge to start this week. But as reported Monday, Kohberger did decide to enter a guilty plea. That happened on Wednesday.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Kohberger pleaded guilty to the fatal 2022 stabbing of 4 University of Idaho students, ultimately waiving his right to a jury trial and avoiding the possibility of a death sentence.
You've heard the plea agreement that I talked about today. Do you agree with that plea agreement?
Yes.
The 30-year-old's expected to spend the rest of his life behind bars.
And do you understand the nature of the charges that you've been charged with that I understand you're going to plead guilty today to?
Yes.
While some of the victims' families were appalled by the plea, that wasn't the case for Madison Mogen's family. Leander James is the family attorney.
While we know there are some who do not support it, we ask that they respect our belief that this is the best outcome possible for the victims, their families, and the state of Idaho.
Kohberger's expected to be given 4 consecutive life sentences, sentencing slated for later this month. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Pentagon announces that it's freezing, for now, weapons shipments to Ukraine, which is concerning some of America's European allies as well as Kyiv. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
Ukraine is looking to ramp up joint weapons production with allies as the U.S. halts some arms shipments. Officials say the Trump administration will hold back some air defense missiles, artillery, and other weapons the U.S. had promised to send, amid concerns America's own stockpiles are too low. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv's trying to clarify details about American support. His government warns any delay in weapons transfers will encourage Russia to keep fighting rather than negotiating. But the Kremlin says the fewer weapons Ukraine gets, the closer they will both get to ending the war. Kyiv says it will move ahead with early plans to jointly produce weapons with European allies. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
Jobs at Microsoft slashed. More on our nation's employment picture when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger has a look at Thursday business and a shortened day in the markets.
Wall Street opens this morning for a half day of trading after a mixed day for stocks yesterday. The S&P 500 index hit a fresh record high as President Trump announced a Vietnam trade deal, but gains were limited by weak jobs data in the private payrolls report from ADP. The U.S. actually lost jobs last month for the first time in 3 years.
A second disappointing ADP report, this one turning negative, raising questions among some if we're now seeing the uncertainty and the tariffs show up in some of the harder data. Total private payrolls were down 33,000. Small business reducing employment by 47,000, medium down by 15, and large businesses raising their employment by 30,000.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Some businesses are holding off on hiring as the tariffs take hold. The government's jobs report will be out this morning at 8:30 Eastern, a day early because of tomorrow's holiday. Meantime, Americans are already paying more because of tariffs. Data Weave is tracking price increases for clothing, shoes, and handbags across major U.S. department store chain websites, including Macy's, Nordstrom, and Dillard's. It found footwear is up 4%, clothing up 2%. Oil prices popped as Iran suspended cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog. That means you could face higher prices at the pump. President Trump posted on social media that a trade deal is done with Vietnam. The tariff will be 20% on goods coming to the U.S. from that country, 40% on goods passing through Vietnam and then coming to the U.S.
Nike, the stock, it's up and up nicely. Why? Because the market price says, well, okay, 20% is not as bad as maybe we thought it would be.
It's not as bad as the reciprocal tariffs.
So maybe that's the statement across the whole trade and tariff thing. It's not going to be as bad as the market first feared, so put that in the win column, not the L.
CNBC's Scott Wapner. Foreign-owned and California-based Del Monte Food has declared bankruptcy. It'll continue operating, but the 139-year-old canned food maker is seeking a buyer. Consumers have been leaning toward canned fruits and vegetables that are store brands. Del Monte's had to deal with aluminum tariffs. Constellation Brands, which makes Modelo beer, also mentioned the aluminum tariffs are hurting its business. Microsoft slashing thousands more jobs.
So Microsoft telling me that would be approximately 9,000 employees based on their most recent employee headcounts. This is on top of the 6,000 employees that they laid off in May.
CNBC's Steve Kovac. On today's watch list, we get that jobs report this morning. Then it gets quiet on Wall Street really fast at 1 p.m. Eastern. The markets close for the July 4th holiday, and they'll open again Monday morning.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, among the stories we're covering next, abortion ban and transgender athletes. After these messages. A 176-year-old abortion ban was struck down by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
A Wisconsin abortion ban that's been on the books for 176 years has been struck down by the state Supreme Court, with the court ruling 4-3 that a newer state law that criminalizes abortions only after a fetus can survive outside the womb supersedes the old law. State lawmakers adopted the old ban in 1849, making it a felony when anyone other than the mother, quote, intentionally destroys the life of an unborn child, end quote. The law was in effect until the U.S. Supreme Supreme Court passed Roe v. Wade in 1973, but conservative Wisconsin legislators argued that the nullifying of Roe v. Wade in 2022 reactivated the old state abortion ban. The state attorney general, a Democrat, filed a lawsuit, and on Wednesday, the Wisconsin Supreme Court's liberal majority struck down the 176-year-old abortion ban. I'm Donna Warder.
In New Jersey, 14 people were hospitalized after a single-engine skydiving plane crashed near a small airport in Williamstown. When crews arrived, they found extensive damage to the plane and many victims covered in jet fuel, but no life-threatening injuries. Police said the pilot reported engine trouble before the plane crashed into a tree near the runway. An Ivy League school is updating its record books as part of a settlement on transgender athletics. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
The University of Pennsylvania says it will update records set by transgender swimmer Leah Thomas. The college says it also will apologize to female athletes it says were disadvantaged by Thomas's participation on the women's swimming team. The moves were part of a resolution of a federal civil rights case that found the school violated the rights of female athletes. Thomas, a transgender swimmer who last competed for the Ivy League school in Philadelphia in 2022, was the first openly transgender athlete to win a Division I title. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
America in the Morning for Thursday, July 3rd, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Iran says it is suspending cooperation with the world's nuclear watchdog agency. I'm Rich Johnson.
Local leaders and federal judges pushing back against Trump administration immigration policies. I'm Clayton Neville.
What's next for the big, beautiful bill? A strike has garbage piling up in Philadelphia, a California fireworks explosion, and Hamas still deciding on a U.S. and Israeli-backed ceasefire plan.
Microsoft slashes over 9,000 jobs. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
What shows are coming and going in the near future? I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues. The sixth named storm of the Pacific hurricane season, Hurricane Flossie, has passed south of Baja, California. And with what's happening across the nation today, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The Northeast will be the focus for today's most widespread potent thunderstorms as another cold front pushes into the region, hot on the heels of a slow-moving front that only pushed offshore late Wednesday evening. This quick progression of storms means that many places in the Northeast actually end up with lower humidity and a more comfortable day overall than yesterday, despite that severe risk. This isn't exactly the ideal setup for severe weather, so the coverage of storms should be fairly spotty for the most part. But any storm this afternoon and evening from Pennsylvania and New Jersey northward across New England and all but western New York still may have gusty winds and some hail. Thunderstorm coverage should be higher today toward the southeast coast, where the very same cold front that slowly cleared the northeast hangs around even longer. While the severe weather risk doesn't look nearly as high in this region, the combination of tropical moisture in place and a weak area of low pressure that AccuWeather hurricane experts are watching for a medium chance for tropical development through the coming days will mean some enhanced downpours that could lead to flash flooding from the Florida Peninsula into the South Carolina coastline. Another area facing tropically enhanced showers and thunderstorms will be the southwest, where moisture from what was once major Hurricane Flossie will continue to lift northward from Mexico, meaning some downpours from the western half or so of Texas straight through the Four Corners region, and somewhat less intense showers and storms centered around the Rockies as far to the north as Montana this afternoon. Afternoon storms also may be gusty from eastern Montana into the Dakotas, mainly the western Dakotas, as well as from southeastern Minnesota into and through the Chicago area. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. House Speaker Mike Johnson is trying to bring together factions within his own party as the House GOP pushed to pass President Trump's tax breaks and spending cuts bill. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports the GOP leadership, along with President Trump, are working to secure holdouts threatening to vote no over concerns including increasing the national debt and Medicaid, while Democrats are united in voting against the big, beautiful bill.
House Republicans are racing towards securing enough votes to pass President Trump's signature tax and spending cuts package by his Friday deadline.
We are working through everybody's issues and making sure that we can secure this vote. I feel very positive about the progress. We've had lots of great conversations. I've met with individuals and groups all day long, as has the president, who's fully engaged as well, trying to convince everybody this is the very best product that we can produce.
After it narrowly passed the Senate yesterday, House GOP leaders are essentially daring their members to defy the president by voting against the bill.
We can't make everyone 100% happy. It's impossible. This is a deliberative body. It's a legislative process. By definition, all of us have to give up on our personal preferences. I never got to ask anybody to compromise core principles, but preferences must be yielded for the greater good. And that's what I think people are recognizing and coming to grips with.
Many, like Missouri's Mark Alford, are on board, saying it's about delivering the change voters want.
Deliver on the mandate that they gave us back in November.
But there are holdouts in the slim GOP majority, and the president's been hosting some Republicans here at the White House, like Oklahoma's Stephanie Bice, who posted a video on social media.
Hopefully we can get this wrapped up by the end of the day.
All Democrats are united against a bill Catherine Clark calls a betrayal of the American people, aimed at helping the rich and hurting all others.
Republicans have a clear message for American families. You don't matter. The people that power America, our nurses, our first responders, our small business owners, our veterans. Under this bill, the Republican Party views you as expendable.
And Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries hopes enough GOP members take a stand.
All we need are 4 Republicans, just 4, to show John McCain-level courage. Just 4. There are 220 of them. All we need are 4.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
A report by Fox News says that President Trump could arm Israel with U.S.-made B-2 bombers and bunker busters if Iran tries to continue their nuclear ambitions. This, as the Islamic Republic announced it will no longer cooperate with the world's body that monitors atomic energy, and the U.S. is sticking to its assessment about how much damage was done to 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Details from correspondent Rich Johnson.
A news presenter on Iranian state TV made it official.
The president has communicated the law obligating the government to suspend cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency.
The statement adds the suspension will stay in effect until certain conditions are met, including a guarantee that Iran's nuclear facilities and scientists won't be targeted again. The word comes nearly 2 weeks after U.S. airstrikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities, and on the same day that the Defense Department repeated its claim about how much damage the American bombs did.
All of the intelligence that we've seen have led us to believe that those facilities especially have been completely obliterated.
Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell again took issue with intelligence reports that said the attacks only set back Iran's program by a few months.
We have degraded their program by 1 to 2 years.
On Sunday, the head of the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, said that yes, the attacks did substantial damage, but
the knowledge is there. Yeah. The industrial capacity is there. Iran is a very sophisticated country in terms of nuclear technology.
Grossi's comments courtesy of the CBS program Face the Nation. Tehran's officially said there is no immediate plan to resume talks with the United States, but also on CBS last Sunday, the country's foreign minister said the doors of diplomacy will never slam shut. I'm Rich Johnson.
A federal judge chimes in on a Trump administration immigration policy. Correspondent Clayton Neville has that story.
U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss is blocking a January 20th proclamation by President Trump declaring an invasion at the southern border. With that move, people who crossed the border between ports of entry were banned from seeking asylum and allowed the administration to deport those individuals quicker. According to the judge this week, though, existing procedures in the Immigration and Nationality Act provide the sole and exclusive means for the federal government to deport people who cross the border illegally. The judge said no matter how cumbersome or inadequate the administration views that process. The ruling said Trump's proclamation established an alternative immigration system. This as local and federal arguments over immigration continue. The Trump administration is suing the city of Los Angeles over its sanctuary city policies.
This is essentially an all-out assault against Los Angeles. The lawsuit is an attempt to overturn the will of the city, calling for a halt to long-standing policy to protect immigrant Angelenos. We are a city of immigrants who have had policies in place for decades.
L.A. Mayor Karen Bass and the president have feuded before, first over wildfire response and most recently on the president's deployment of the National Guard to the city to respond to protests against ICE.
Let me be clear, I personally won't be intimidated by these tactics. We will not be intimidated by these tactics. I will always protect Angelenos against the unwarranted and cruel actions of this administration.
Now, the lawsuit claims that city policies prevent the administration from tackling a, quote, crisis of illegal immigration. I'm Clayton Neville.
Among the stories we're covering next, more trash talk from Philadelphia and California fireworks warehouse explosion. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. A municipal workers' strike in Philadelphia is heading into its third day as residents in the nation's sixth largest city are seeing trash pile up on streets and delays in other city services. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Shut it down! Trash bags are starting to pile up on the curb and spill out of cans in Philadelphia on day 2 of a strike by some 10,000 city workers. A judge granted an injunction ordering some back to work, including 911 dispatchers and essential employees at the water department.
We have to stand out here in solidarity. We have to stand together.
Library worker at Dafir Gerald says city workers need help to keep up with inflation.
The cost of living here in the city of Philadelphia is going up, and we have to be paid the wages to reflect the changes of what's going on in everyday life.
District Council 33 of the municipal union says they're seeking 8% annual raises and for the city to pay the full cost for employee health care, among other benefits. Mayor Sherelle Parker says the city has put its best offer on the table, offering raises that amount to 13% over her 4-year term. The city suspended residential trash collection, closed some city pools, and shortened recreation center hours, but the mayor vows to keep the city running and that July 4th celebrations won't be affected. Police and firefighters are not on strike. I'm Jennifer King.
As many as 7 people remain unaccounted for after a fireworks warehouse exploded in California. Correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports.
Residents were urged to avoid the area around Esparto and Madison in Northern California after an explosion at a warehouse set off fireworks, causing several fires. The building collapsed, and the Yolo County Sheriff's Office said the explosion was still under investigation.
It's a crime scene because this is a very major incident, and the Office of the State Fire Marshal is leading that investigation, and we have to preserve the area for both to be able to conduct that investigation, as well as the safety for everybody involved, both responders and the general public.
Governor Gavin Newsom's office said state ground and air resources had been deployed. The state fire marshal had also sent an arson and bomb investigation team to the area. The fire had reached 78 acres as of Tuesday night. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
The terrorist group Hamas says it is open to a ceasefire agreement with Israel, but stopped short of accepting a U.S.-backed proposal in Gaza announced by President Trump. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma has the latest.
Hamas is insisting on its long-standing position that any deal must bring an end to the war in Gaza.
We hope it's going to happen, and we're looking for it to happen sometime next week. We want to get our hostages back. We want to get the hostages back.
President Donald Trump says the 60-day period will be used to work towards ending the war, something Israel says it will not accept until Hamas is defeated. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati in Amman says the situation is highly complex and naturally the Israeli side must make its decisions as quickly as possible. There's an opportunity to reach a ceasefire for 60 days, followed by negotiations. Hamas official Tahir al-Nunu says he is ready and serious regarding reaching an agreement. Meanwhile, people in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza, are mourning the dead after Israeli airstrikes and shootings killed around 44 people on Tuesday, according to Nasser Hospital. The deaths come a day after witnesses say 30 Palestinians were killed in a strike on a seaside cafe in Gaza. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
9,000 jobs slashed. Microsoft announces almost 4% of its global workforce is going to be cut in favor of AI and cloud computing advancements. More on the story in today's Tech Report with our Chuck Palm.
Microsoft announced they'll be slashing over 9,000 jobs, roughly 4% of its workforce, in its largest layoff in over 2 years. The cuts announced yesterday will hit hard across Xbox, global sales, marketing, and other divisions, following another round of 6,000 layoffs from just a month ago. Xbox division chief Phil Spencer shared via IGN that the gaming division's taking a hit, with some projects reportedly being canceled. These cuts come after Microsoft's $70 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard in 2023, which was a massive strategy shift for the gaming division. Microsoft had announced that they're realigning their focus on high-growth areas like AI and cloud computing, but the timing is difficult, especially for Xbox, which has already been navigating a competitive gaming market. Bitcoin up 3% to 108,000, and Ethereum up 6.5% to 2,558. For more tech news, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Rapidly approaching the weekend, sports is in with our Robert Workman.
Baseball Wednesday, the Rangers blanked the Orioles 6-0. Nathan Eovaldi and the Franks with a 5-hitter. Pirates shut out the Cardinals 5-0 for win number 6 in a row. They held the Redbirds scoreless the entire series. Mitch Keller and the Killers scattered 6 hits. Manager Don Kelly.
Phenomenal job today. 7 innings, shutout, had everything. He got better, it seemed, as the game went on.
Cubs edge the Guardians 5-4. That's Cleveland's 6th straight loss. Dodgers rally for 3 in the 9th for a walk-off 5-4 win over the White Sox. 4 weather-induced doubleheaders, all evenly split. Red Sox and Reds, Tigers and Nationals, Phillies, Padres, and Brewers, Mets. Wins for the Twins, Braves, Blue Jays, Astros, Giants, Rays, and Mariners. Starters for the All-Star game were announced. The AL squad led by Seattle catcher Cal Raleigh, making his first All-Star appearance on the strength of 33 homers and 71 RBI so far this year. Those are the top 2 totals in the majors. 3 of the World Series champion Dodgers will start in Atlanta. DH Shohei Ohtani, catcher Will Smith, and first baseman Freddie Freeman, who began his career with the Braves. Soccer, the U.S. men got 2 early goals from Diego Luna and held on to beat Guatemala 2-1 in the Gold Cup semifinals in St. Louis. They will face Mexico in the title match Sunday in Houston. The U.S. women blanked Canada 3-0 in a friendly in D.C. At Wimbledon, number 1 Arina Sabalenka and 6-seed American Madison Keys won their second-round matches, but 6 more women's seeds fell. Men's number 2 Carlos Alcaraz, going for his 3rd straight Wimbledon crown, breezed into round 3. That's Thursday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, Donald Trump wins millions over Kamala Harris interview. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues, saying they settled not because of biased journalism, but to avoid unpredictable legal costs. Paramount Global co-CEO George Cheeks defended his company's $16 million settlement with President Trump over his lawsuit against CBS handling of an interview with then-candidate Kamala Harris. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
Paramount has agreed to pay $16 million to settle President Donald Trump's lawsuit over the editing of a CBS 60 Minutes October interview with then Vice President Kamala Harris. Paramount says the money will go to Trump's future presidential library, not Trump himself, and that the settlement does not involve an apology. But Paramount has agreed that 60 Minutes will release transcripts of future interviews with presidential candidates, subject to redactions as required for legal and national security concerns. Trump's lawyer says his client suffered mental anguish over how Harris's 60 Minutes interview was edited.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
CBS and Paramount rejected Trump's contention that the interview was edited to enhance how Harris sounded, and they had sought to get the lawsuit dismissed, calling the suit completely without merit. I'm Donna Warder.
A few TV shows on ABC, others on Netflix will soon be no more. And some surprising reboots will be taking their place. Here's America in the Morning's entertainment reporter Kevin Carr.
The fate is now known for several television series that have been dangling in limbo. Deadline reports that Netflix has axed two freshman series, the medical drama Pulse and the comedic whodunit The Residents.
That's Cordelia Cup. She is the best detective in the world.
Where's the body? Oh, I see feet.
The other on the bubble series, No Good Deed, has not been renewed in spite of reaching number 3 on the streaming giant's top 10.
You've seen people find out what really happened in that house.
What?
You think you can scare me, Mikey?
This planned anthology could technically return, but for now it's withering on the vine. Meanwhile, on the traditional broadcast side, ABC has pilots on the mind.
We got some new blood this morning, and some who were born before disco died.
Sergeant Gray does not appear to be a fan of my presence in this department.
Deadline reports the network is developing another spin-off of The Rookie, with this one set in Washington State, appropriately called The Rookie North. ABC is also close to ordering a long-rumored Scrubs reboot, with original star Zach Braff reprising his role.
I'm no Superman.
There are still some hurdles to clear, including the schedule of series creator Bill Lawrence, who has his hands full with Apple TV's Shrinking and another season of Ted Lasso. Two other series being considered include Do You Want Kids, featuring a couple who in parallel universes both have and don't have children, and Mittens, a family comedy told from the point of view of the neighborhood cat. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for July 3rd, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.